And here we are back to Tuesday training. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. She talks to me every time and it throws me off every time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday training. I'm so happy to see you. We're here today to talk client work and muscle tightness for our clients, which is exciting. We had a several week trek on muscle tightness. And so now we're going to put it all together and solve a client case study with that, which is very exciting. Welcome, Lori. Welcome, Cheryl. I'm so glad to see you. Welcome, Gary. Hello, hello. As always, the renegades, the ones who are here no matter what. I love it every week. So great to see you. For those of you who are watching on the replay, we're also happy to see you. I know there's a couple handfuls of you that watch religiously every week. I can tell from looking backstage at YouTube. I don't know who you are, though. So if you wanted to acknowledge that in the comments under the video, I would love to know that you're here and drinking it all in. But otherwise, just welcome. I'm glad that you're here on the replay or live, whatever works for you. We're here every week to support, I'm here every week to support manual and movement practitioners in the amazing work that they do. And we're here every week to learn something new about anatomy, functional anatomy, or working with clients in order to do the great work that we do. So welcome. I just want to acknowledge that we are being sponsored by, hosted. It just cracks me up every time I say that. But we're sponsored and hosted by Lori's Got the Swag, the Schatz method. Yeah. So the Schatz method is what is the method that I developed working clinically, which I've been doing for 31 years now. The number just cracks me up. I've been doing that for 31 years, and this method is so amazing because it works for both manual and movement practitioners. So I teach that method to practitioners in a year-long mastery program. And we run that program once a year. We all start at the same time and finish at the same time. And I make the claim, and I stand by this, that we are experts at resolving chronic and preventive pain, if you will, by the end of that year-long track. We have an amazing community of really stellar practitioners, and some of them even serve as anatomy advocates, which you see Lori here. Her name says anatomy advocate. All of our advocates have graduated the program and taken more than 350 hours of training with me in every single course inside of our academy. So they are the persons to ask if you have questions about, well, which course should I take? Instead of, I'm ready for the, if I'm not ready for the mastery program right now, which course should I take? And I also invite you all to look at the student lounge where Lori posted today something about one of our courses and how that was really valuable. And so the anatomy advocates, I thank you. Again, I think some of you are also those who watch every week on the replay. And Lori, you're here every week live. So thank you for that. All right, so let's dive in. We've got a couple more people coming in. Rhonda's coming in. And who else did I see come in here that I did not yet say hi to? Teresa, I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. If you want to come on camera, come on camera. We'd love to have a connected conversation with you. If you're not in a place where you can do that, that's also okay. You can come off mute if you want to contribute to the conversation using your voice. You can also use the chat. Chat's my least accessible mode to communicate with you here on Tuesday trainings. Just flips the screen and all the things. Please do contribute to the conversation and ask questions if there's a way that I can support you specifically. So we're here as a final mashup, if you will, on the several weeks of muscle tightness that we've been diving into with glee. Makes me so happy.
You say final week, and yet there might be a cliffhanger.
It's a
Right?
So here's the thing.
Right.
I've been digging the cliffhangers, and here's how the cliffhangers happen. I mean, truthfully, when I invite you guys in for conversation, it's true. For years, I've been here on Tuesdays doing Tuesday trainings on one topic of anatomy, start to finish within the hour. In fact, it used to be start to finish in 30 minutes, and then I'd open up the next 30 minutes for Q&A. So I mean it when I tell you, if I tell you I'm going to share something with you and we're going to wrap it up in this period of time, I'll do that. This year, turn of the calendar, we learned something from the last month or two from last year, which is that y'all are up to such good stuff and you have such great minds thinking through the information and applying it, that there was lots of Q&A that was happening, and it turned into juicy conversations, which means my need to drive the conversation to a finish line took a sidestep to wanting to be in conversation with you about it. So sometimes we left off then on cliffhangers. So I think maybe we get to phrase it differently, because cliffhanger sounds like a little manipulative, like I'm trying to make you guys come back. I'm not trying to. You're all here and contributing in such a beautiful way that I love it. So it may or may not be the final. You're right, Lori. Maybe I could choose a different word, but we are creating a conclusion to all the muscle tightness instead of final. We're creating a conclusion today for all the different muscle tightnesses that we've talked about over the last several weeks. And Lori has a client case study that she wanted to highlight, which happens to, point directly at muscle tightness. So that's awesome. We actually worked on a client case study at the end of last year when our conversations got really juicy, because I brought a client case study thinking we just talk it out for a training Tuesday or so. And it turned out that not having the information about muscle tightness was what was preventing us from solving that case study. Hence, I offered muscle tightness at the beginning of this year to be like, well, I see the gap. Let me just fill the gap, which is what I'm here to do. And I want to just highlight that. I see you guys nodding. So you've recognized that and acknowledged that for yourself. And it's just really valuable to keep remembering and being reminded of and aware of when we're solving client case studies, when someone's pain comes to us at the top of their session. In order to solve it, we've got to know enough anatomy to be able to do that. And it's not a dig on any of us. There's gaps in all of our knowledge on knowing anatomy, and there will be for the entirety of our time on this planet, because there is no way we're going to know it all. So just surrender to the idea you're going to leave this lifetime not knowing everything there is to know about anatomy. Just surrender to that. So I have, and it's true. I'm still learning things. In fact, I just discovered something in the last 4 days or so that enhanced my knowledge about the big toe mound and hip and knee function and knee pain. And I was like, wow, amazing. And I'm diving into that in my own training. So, and I will, of course, when I have clarity on that, bring it to y'all for sure. And in order for me to solve these more complex ideas, I really have to lean on all the anatomy that I know, all the anatomy and how it's connected and how things move and what's actually moving, what's not moving when there's a problem. So just be open to that. And I know you guys are, because you're here. I guess I'm speaking more to the people who are listening for the first time or here for the first time, and you're thinking, I kind of need to know something in order to participate. It's one of the conversations we just recently had inside our Mastery alumni community, because I was talking to our advocates actually about what is it that prevents us from jumping into client casework with confidence and courage and just throwing stuff out there, throwing noodles at the wall to see if they'll stick. What is that? And it's this idea here that we think we're supposed to know the answer, that we're not confident about what we know or what we don't know. And we haven't surrendered to the idea that we're here to learn and we might not have the answer. So instead, we show up, but we're kind of quiet. And we'll ask a question, but we don't necessarily want to offer what we think the answer is. And I just want to invite all of you. This is a safe space. You guys have been with me now for months and months. There's no, embarrassment or humiliation that comes with learning. We all just get to learn, right? And so I want you all to solve those case studies, the client complaints, the chief complaints that your clients come with. I absolutely want you to solve them. In order to do that, I got to know what anatomy is still in a gap for you so I could fill that gap. So the way I know that is by you being in conversation with me, like the conversation we had at the end of last year about the case study that I brought. And in the conversation, I realized, there's this knowledge, this anatomy piece I can share with you. So thank you in advance for contributing and being confident and setting any nervousness or ego aside and just letting us fully uncover and discover together what might need to be uncovered and discovered as we work through this client case study today. Does that sound doable? Are you guys on board for that? You're like, yeah, I'm here for it. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So we're gonna walk right into this case study that Lori's got. I think it's a real client that you've been working with, Lori. Somebody that you're currently serving.
Yes, somebody I'm currently serving.
Okay, perfect. And we're gonna focus on the muscle tightness. So let's take a very brief high level review. What are the 4 muscle tightnesses that we have on the table that we've learned over the last few weeks that I want you to draw from in your knowledge to support our conversation here today on this client case study? What are the 4 muscle tightnesses on the table?
Contractile, muscle contraction, held in that position. That's quick. Only tightness we can stretch.
Yay! Fabulous, high level, Cheryl. Got it. Only one we should stretch. Exactly. Who's got the next one? Thanks for going first, Cheryl. Who's got the next one?
The next one, I'll go. Tensile, the origin and insertion of the muscle are the furthest away from one another. They're held there. They can't contract. I don't even think they can lengthen any further.
No.
Yep. And what did we share after that?
Well, if they can't lengthen any further, what does that mean? What does that mean that stretching would do to them?
What's that?
What does it mean stretching would do to them?
Oh, nothing. I mean, it would hurt, it would suck.
Yeah, you could damage the tissues. Yeah. The origins are held furthest distance away from each other, not moved to the furthest distance away from each other. That's the distinction. At first they moved, but then they got held there and now they're in a pickle. So we don't want to stretch those for sure. Awesome.
Right.
What's the next one that we covered? We spent a long time on the third one. Meaningfully, we spent a good discovery amount of time. What's the third muscle tightness?
Ready?
Turgor?
Okay,
awesome. Turgor. Yeah. Tell us a little bit high level about turgor, Gary.
It has a feeling of armoring of the body.
Okay.
I'm not clear about what's actually happening with the muscle, but it is being held in some way. It seems to be full and thick. And the resolution is, for me, is still up in the air, so I'll be having some questions about that.
Okay.
And we're looking for what is the root cause of that.
Yeah. What's the root cause? Otherwise, it will repeat itself, or we would miss that the root cause demands some turgor for a moment while there's healing, or we talked about pregnancy, etc. Yep. So knowing the source and then being able to remedy that, which isn't even about stretching or contracting a muscle necessarily. Beautiful. And what was the 4th type of tightness? We squeezed that one in right at the end last time in record timing.
Atrophy.
Atrophy. Tell us about high level about atrophy, Val.
Begins at 24-hour mark. I'm not sure when we get to full atrophy. I don't recall that, but it was one of those things that I missed when we had our intensive. So that was brought back to my mind. So now I'm remembering it more.
Oh, good. And what did you say? You're not sure about what about atrophy?
When it fully sets in, but it begins at that 24-hour period.
Yeah, think of it like an eroding cliff against the ocean. It starts the first time salt hits the rock, and then it gradually continues. Atrophy is like that. Yeah, the longer you don't use it, the more atrophy there is.
Okay.
Okay. And what's the remedy for atrophy?
Movement.
I'm going to go on a limb and say getting it to neutral and back into action.
So I like the idea of neutral, but what our focus is for atrophy is optimally aligned movement.
Yes.
So you want to restore,
Okay.
You want to restore the lever system, and we have a masterclass coming up about the lever system, by the way, at the end of this month. We want to restore the lever system, but just making muscles contract and lengthen without optimizing the alignment does not create optimal movement in muscles, which means you could create a different type of tightness if you move the joint in the wrong way. And as we were discussing atrophy, oh, hey, thanks, Lori. Not that chat. Oh, that's okay. It's from the advocacy chat. That's good. The link.
Sorry, delete. Nobody saw that anyway. It's all good. I posted too much.
Lori's got the link for the masterclass. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so in order to restore, it's tricky with atrophy to just assume that the muscles coming back online will do that in a safe way, because part of the process in atrophy means the muscle now has lost some of its remembering about its function, which means it also might need reminding. And the way to remind a muscle what to do, even without atrophy, the way to remind a muscle what to do is you've got to have the joints aligned in order for that muscle to contract fully. By design, it has to happen. We know that from functional anatomy. And a lot of us who do movement aren't really clear what neutral alignment is in a joint. And for those of us who don't do movement as our primary bodywork modality, don't even consider it. So we don't know to look for that in our clients, that might be what's causing their pain and discomfort. So again, we'll talk more about all of that in the masterclass. But for today, we want to keep in mind for atrophy, it's restoring the lever system in optimal alignment. Okay, awesome. Okay, so that's a great foundation for our client casework for today. Outstanding. Lori, let's hear what you got. And thanks for bringing a client case study to the conversation today. I love it. Woohoo.
Cool. Alrighty, so I have a client, a gentleman that came in. He has his calf muscle. He's got a few things going on, but his calf muscle he came in with pain in his calf muscle. And it's on he points to kind of the medial side, the inside of his calf. When he noticed it, he was doing a non-running workout. I'll add this in. He's what do they call it? When you work out with your ego. There's somebody just mentioned it to me. I know it's really cool. It's like an ego workout where it's like, I'm pushing harder whether my body wants to go or not.
Wow, I haven't heard of this. Okay.
Yeah, I
Me
hadn't
either.
either, but it's come up a couple times recently. I'll find the
An
Sounds-
ego workout. Wow.
Egocentric, maybe?
No, it's just something. It's where you know you shouldn't be doing it, but you're like, I'm going to do it anyway because your ego overrides. Yeah, right. You get the gist of what it could be.
Sounds dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds
The
a lot
two
of things.
clients-
It sounds dismissive. It sounds like
Yeah.
not in touch with the divine design. It sounds like the
All
body
of
doesn't
it.
have a say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The two
Definitely not
clients that
listening.
decided to push through their ego workout had not the best results.
Oh,
Yeah.
surprise. Can't imagine how that
Imagine why.
must be coincidental. Okay, got it.
Okay. So anyway, he's doing a non-running workout day, which means a lot of upper body. And then in between the upper body, they do 20 jumping jacks.
Okay.
Yep. So right around number 800 jumping jacks, right?
Oh,
No, I know 800 jumping jacks. They
So
were
we're
going to
not-
1200. They were going to 1200, but at 800, he started to feel like something wasn't quite right in his calf. Kept going.
Sure.
Of course.
I
Sure.
guess, Gary.
The ego says
Sure.
keep going.
Yeah. And
Push
now
through.
he has more pain in that. He going downstairs, it's his left leg. It's his left calf going downstairs. He can't lead. He's trouble leading with the left leg going down. He also
his-
had,
It's his
What's
left calf, Lori?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
he's
Okay.
he's hypermobile, like just on the cusp of hyper.
Oh, no.
I know, red alert, on the cusp of hypermobile.
What's his score?
8.
Okay.
He has self-diagnosed turf toe.
Which is
What's that?
Huh?
which is
Turf toe, it's when, I didn't look it up, but I think it's like a hammer. It reminds me of like a hammer toe.
Okay, on which toe?
Oh. Where's my pencil? I know.
Did you see it or did you just hear about it?
I do, and I saw it. What, let me think back.
Okay,
Second and third, so between, next to the big toe, second and third,
on the left foot?
on the left.
Okay,
Yep, all on the left. He in the past in 2004, he had surgery on L4 and L5. Oh, I don't have that. I have that in my other notes for his first take. Oh, here it is. Microdiscectomy on
Okay.
L4 and L5.
Mhm.
Ah,
Yep. They
So
did
he's
that.
herniated.
What's that?
It's herniated.
Yep.
Was. Mhm.
Yep.
What caused it? What was the source of the herniation?
He said that he said it was from doing bad form and doing squats.
So
And
he
then
just- Mhm.
which, yeah, wasn't that your case? That was just the case study. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't
And
know if he was weight bearing at the time.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. And then he also said, because everything that they tell us matters in some way, that he was also repainting an old house.
During
Currently,
his, yeah,
currently,
when, Lori, when was he painting an old house?
During the time when the bad form from the squats,
okay.
he did it both. Like, I'm doing squats and I also painted an old house.
Okay.
Let's see what else I got.
So I quick looked up turf toe, and it's a soft injury or a soft tissue injury in the plantar complex.
Oh,
Right, but he's a self-diagnosed though.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
he's
I know that
calling, he's calling a hammer toe or a non-fully functioning digit. He's diagnosing it as something so that he
Right.
can just
Yeah.
so he can just like categorize it and stick it somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, that was truly self-diagnosed. Yep.
Okay. Anything else, Laura?
Yeah, let me look through sprinting. His whole left side of his body. I wouldn't say his whole left side. I'd say from like here down. Can you guys see down into here, glutes?
mhm.
Yeah.
When he's running, sprinting, running up hills, he'll be fine for a while, and then it'll cause him a lot of pain.
During the run?
Not immediately right out of the gate, but I can't remember what he told me as far as how far into the run he
Probably
gets.
10 miles.
I'm sure, I mean, yeah, of course.
Because
He
his
puts
ego
it-
said, do it.
Yeah.
Oh my. And so then does the pain go away as soon as he stops or does it linger afterward?
Oh, that's a good question too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I have a couple of clarifying questions. When did he self-diagnose himself with the turf toe? Recently?
What's that? Yeah, that's recent. I saw him a few weeks ago for massage, and then I saw him recently for a repatterning session, and the turf toe is new information to me. So recently.
Well, that's the first time he told you, but when did he decide he had that?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. So those of you who are here that are in mastery, you know that it matters the when. Those of
Yeah.
you who are not in the mastery program, it matters the when.
Yeah.
It's a treasure map. The body and the timetable are telling you a story so that
Yeah.
you can know what led to the other or what was present when something else showed up.
Right.
Matters, hugely matters. So you get to go fill in those gaps, Laura.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, great. Let's see, I had one more question. When did the left oblique and glute med pain start?
He just shared that with me recently.
Yeah, but when did it start?
Okay,
him.
so I get to go back with the whens.
Yeah, so the when matters. Why does the when matter? What did I just share with you guys? Why does the when matter when you're taking in intakes?
You can find the timeline,
You can find the timeline. And why does the timeline matter?
because one pattern can come from the other.
Yeah, one pattern can come from the other. And also, if a pattern is present and then other pain symptoms show up, we know that where the source came from, the part that's not working or not. Yeah, so we don't know what caused what. So now we're just sort of like, we're doing a little bit of this and what do I solve first?
Yeah, that's exactly what I
You want to
felt
be like right to the answer and get it done in the hour, right? Okay, it's all right. Just notice, it's good. Okay, anybody else have questions for Lori? I'm sure you guys were taking frantic notes. Anybody need questions?
What did she do for it?
Well, we're not there yet.
How old is he? How old is this man?
He's 50, let's see, I'm 52, 53.
Okay.
And has he been doing ego workouts for long?
Yes.
Okay. Was he doing ego workouts when he had herniated his disc?
I was doing squats. I don't know if they were ego squats.
Right. So do you guys
funny.
do you guys hear that? It does. It's hilarious. It's like only funny in words. It's not actually funny.
No, it's not funny.
No, of course not. But it
even
is
just like calling yourself to say like, oh, I do ego workouts. Like that. Did you not hear that as it came out? But okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sometimes I sound like I have Tourette's too, and I don't always hear what I say either. So it's fine. So do you guys hear the distinction between a client ratting themselves out? He basically told on himself and said, I didn't have good form and I herniated a disc by not having good form and doing squats, while also doing this other repetitive activity, which we know when we're painting, we don't have good form. So do you guys hear the distinction between that, which basically tells us, oh, that led to that, versus I had bad form doing squats and failed to mention it was also an ego workout? Do you guys hear the difference? Or do you know the difference in the implication between the two? No.
What do you mean? He failed to mention that.
Or
because we don't know if he did that, right? We don't know if he.
Well, yeah, it's not that he failed to. Nobody failed anything, but we don't have clarity on whether that workout that led to a herniated disc was an ego workout with bad form or just a bad form workout.
Right. And we don't know when he had the herniated disc. It could have been 20 years ago.
I thought you did give us a date, Lori. Wasn't it?
Yeah, 2004, he had the surgery.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Yeah.
So pretty close.
You think you'd learn from that.
Well, so that is part of the implication, Val.
Yeah, exactly.
Were we doing ego workouts 20 years ago and we haven't learned, which has a different tell for us about how easily they're going to be enrolled in doing something that we're asking them to do. That is a huge implication for us and our success with them, versus I wasn't doing ego workouts then, and now I think I need to work harder because I wasn't getting gains as a hypermobile person, even though my regular bad habit was bad form was creating herniations, and now I still have bad form, mostly because I'm hypermobile, and now I'm creating. Do you hear the difference? Like your client's basically revealing something that really matters in how you enroll them and what's going to happen in their client work with you. And it also dictates the success of your time together.
Yeah.
We want to hear what they're saying and hear the meaning about what they're saying. Meaning, what is the implication of what they're saying? And how do I navigate that for them?
So go ahead, G.
Nope, I was just going to say is a huge
he's determined. I'm sorry, he's determined to not listen to his body.
Well, we don't know if he's determined to not listen to his body.
He just doesn't.
for 20 years?
He
Or-
ignored it. After 800 jumping jacks, he ignored it and kept going.
Kept pushing. Yeah.
Did he stop after 800 jumping jacks, Lori? I
No.
thought you said he didn't get to 1200.
I said he felt it at 800.
And then kept going. Okay, right. So to your point, Rhonda, we want to be really thoughtful here about not being like in an adversarial relationship that our client's an asshole. Like that just doesn't work, right? He didn't completely show up that way because he's here to get help.
Yeah.
So we want to be like, okay, what part of him brought him in here? What part of him brought him in, and can I connect with that part? Because something brought him in. And that's why I was saying, did he decide back when he was working out 20 years ago that he wasn't making progress and hurting himself by creating herniated discs, and now decided that that means work harder then because I'm not working hard enough and getting my gains? That just means we get to educate him about his mobility and things like that. Or is he really headstrong? Because they're very different. We don't know if he's headstrong specifically. Because we don't know if he was doing ego workouts then. So something switched between the herniated disc and the ego workout if the ego workout is new. And we just don't have that timeline. So again, just to reiterate, you want to know the order of things. The chronology really matters with your people. Like let them talk, let them talk, don't interrupt them, but then go back and get clarity on the dates and times and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, what I do know about him and what he has shared over the years is like when he turned 50, he's like, I'm going to he wanted to run a 6-minute mile. He wanted to lose all this weight. He wanted to keep up with the younger guys. He did all these different kind of really, to me, they sound pretty high intent. I mean, 1200 jumping jacks seems like a lot to me, but
yeah,
like these kind of like it from what he shared since I've known him recently, is that he's amping up his workout because he's 53 and he doesn't want to be that old guy that kind of without mobility in his body, and now he's like going hard to try to make up.
Well, did he say that? Did he say that in your conversation? The scenario that you're painting right now, did he present that to you?
Yes.
Okay, so then it still warrants finding out what was he doing before he was 50.
Right.
Like, is he trying to keep up with the level he was already working at, or did he make a decision to go to a different level? Which means he doesn't have the condition and the training and the quality control under his movements. It's kind of the same idea that I mentioned before. Like people herniate their discs all the time, and it's not from doing 800 jumping jacks, right? So what was that for him then? Was he pushing then too, and needs more focus on functional movement and optimizing that, or is it a strength issue? Which it suggests based on his hypermobility score that there's a strength issue, that he's trying to be something stronger than his constitution will make quickly available for him. You could still be muscle bound as a hypermobile, but you got to work differently than someone who's not, for sure.
And visually, what does his body look like? I mean, is he aligned? Is his ears over his shoulders and all those things? I mean, is he overweight? Is he overweight at all?
No, he's super lean.
Okay.
He's super lean. He's tall. He's probably 6'1", 2". He C curve, head, like serious head forward. Yeah, I know, right?
What does he do for work?
He's a lawyer.
Oh, okay. So that's the
Overachiever.
the 40-pound head.
Look, my head, I'm not and I can get into that pretty quickly too, though.
Yeah.
What else did I notice? I don't know how much you want me to get into measurements at all, but I know that there's a measurement that we do in the method for core engagement.
Okay, well, hypermobility would suggest that as more
Right,
likely than
right.
not too. Okay, so what was his, why are you, Lori, why are you bringing this to discussion? What are you looking for? Just so I'm clear on that.
Well, I initially brought it. I love that I brought the whole case study because now I go back and I'm like, okay, got it. I missed a few things, which is cool. I just, get to go back and do better next time. About the why after 800, like what the muscle tightness was in his calf. I was like,
Okay.
oh, we're talking about muscle tightness, and here's my client that has muscle tightness. So
Okay, so your curiosity yourself is on what type of muscle tightness is it and what caused it at 800 jumping jacks?
yeah.
I have
Okay.
Through that little lens, but through the bigger lens, well, I have a game plan, but that part of it that he came to me with, and I've got pain here, it didn't resolve when he left.
Okay, so you
So that's
attempted to
where-
resolve,
Yeah.
you attempted to resolve the calf pain and it didn't resolve. So you're thinking that there might be something else in your treatment plan that you could bring back to working with him. Okay,
And I was
awesome.
super curious about well, after 800, what is that muscle tightness? Like that also popped into my head.
Okay, great. So our job today, my friends, should we choose to accept our role here, is to identify the type of muscle tightness and why it was initiated at jumping jack 800.
Very specific.
Yeah, well, it matters to get specific though, because as you can hear, we could go down many roads on this conversation and not actually serve you. Same thing with the clients, right? So I say this a lot. We have a phrase inside our mastery community, our mastery practitioner community, where we say, it's tempting to hang the moon. Don't try to hang the moon. Just stay focused. And what is your intention with this person, right? And all people have many things you could work on. And I'm sure a lot of us, if we're honest, have thought, wow, this client has got to schedule at least 10 sessions with me. There's so much to work on. Right. And that's beautiful that you can see all that for your person. But if all those 10 things that you want to cover in 10 sessions is not what they came to you for, you will lose them. They won't come back to you because you in their mind, you're wasting their time. Yeah. Unless you can actively and accurately message to them the why behind what you're doing and how it ties to their chief complaint. Big. That's really important. It's one of the ways that I hear from clients who've been to other practitioners who are like, well, I didn't really think it was really working. And for those of us who are honest, we're like, yeah, I wasn't really sure what I was working on. I kind of squirreled. I
squirreled.
I squirreled. I tried to do too much too soon. I tried to do too much in the hour. I wasn't actually sure how to resolve it. So then I started making myself busy. These are real things that we're here to correct, right? So that we can be efficient, focused, and create results. That's what I do. That's what I train. That's the method behind what I train. So it's valid for us, Lori, to ask you, in this particular conversation, how can we support? What type of muscle tightness was it? And how come it was initiated at jumping jack 800? Great. We'll start with that and answer it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Great. So does anybody have a guess on what kind of type, or actually, yeah, does anyone have a guess on what type of tightness it was?
Well, I have a question before I do that.
Sure. Okay. Spoken like a true mastery practitioner, Val.
Contractile?
Go ahead, Val. What's your question?
I want to know, is it hard and does it feel extra full on that left leg, on that calf?
No, it didn't feel extra full.
What was your take on palpation?
What, Val?
What was your take on the palpation?
If he didn't tell me, I don't know if I would have noticed it. Yeah, it really didn't feel, and I'll add this in too, is that he's been stretching it. And it's so interesting. He's been stretching it and then not running. So
Before the jumping jacks?
after the jumping
After the jumping jacks.
Is it starting to feel better? And how long has it been since the injury or since that happened to when he came to see you?
The timeline. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So I get to work on my timelines.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is turgor because
Lori,
it's an
what
injured tissue.
tension did you think it was?
So Rhonda, you're breaking up. We didn't hear you. And Cheryl's just in the middle of a question too. So
Go
hang
ahead,
on one second.
Rhonda. Rhonda can go first.
Okay, Rhonda, go for it.
She has a question.
Lori, what tension did you think it was and treat him for?
So again, I squirreled.
Okay.
I treated him for the misalignments in his structure, and I treated him for the intrinsic strength in that session.
And
I
do you
didn't
think,
treat him specifically for, right, I didn't treat him specifically for the calf.
and did his
Okay.
calf feel any better at the end of that session at all? And then it got back to worse, or did it not move the needle at all while he was with you?
He didn't say it, and I didn't. I was.
Okay, so we don't even know if that worked.
I don't know. This isn't the best case. I mean, it is the best case study
Oh, it's
because it
good.
definitely shines the light on like, oh my, all
Yeah,
the things
I
that I get
gotcha.
to do. And also
Yeah.
what happens when I squirrel, right?
Mhm.
So
So
I'm
awesome.
a little nervous, so I'm glad that everybody's saying
Yes, I'm right with you, Lori.
I
Yeah.
know, I so appreciate you. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. And this
Yeah,
is
no, yeah, exactly. That's exactly, Cheryl. It's part of the learning. We're here as a mastermind to just come up with ideas. We're not here to perform for each other. It's exactly what we said at the beginning. Case studies. This type of conversation right here is the one that makes us the most nervous. More nervous than actually doing the work with the client. We're less nervous swirling in the treatment setting with our client than we are talking about what we did with our client or didn't do with our client. So it's nerve-wracking. So I acknowledge you, Lori, again, for bringing this to us and being honest and open enough so that we can all learn together. Are you guys all learning about what not to do or what to make sure you do just at this part of the conversation? Have you guys all learned something so far?
Big time.
Yeah, look, it's like universal, Lori. So the value you're bringing is universal.
It's only me, of course.
No, it's not.
I know it's
No.
not. Thank you, everyone.
It's not only you. And
No.
notice that as Gary was saying at the beginning, well, what did you do? We haven't even gotten to that point yet, and we're still already learning. Right? So there's so much value in talking about client work. So thank you. And you just happen to be the one delivering right now. But if it was somebody else, we'd all be having the same questions, right? So it's good learning. We all get to learn together, right? So thank you again. Go ahead, Val.
I have another question. Was it his, you said it was in his calf. So it was a gastroc area, medial, lateral? Was it central? Where on the calf?
Let's see here.
Said it was medial.
It's medial, and then he was maybe halfway down. Quarter.
Sounds similar. Gastroc, most likely, yes.
I would say not if it's medial, Val, because gastroc is the most superficial. So and it has two heads on it. So it's basically like a posterior sensation on someone's body. But I like where you're going. What else is there? What other muscles are there midway down the lower leg shaft, if you will? What other muscles are there?
Plantaris.
That's lateral, right?
No, posterior. Plantaris is behind the
oh yeah, I'm looking at my
posterior tibialis.
Oh, these are all posterior. Hold on, I'm looking at my.
You're right, Val. Tibialis posterior. Yep. What else is there? Gastroc and tibialis posterior, plantaris,
Soleus,
soleus,
Lateral edge, yeah, medial edge of soleus.
anterior tibialis, anterior.
tibialis anterior is on the front, tibialis
On the front.
posterior that was on the back. Yep,
Achilles.
he's pointing behind the tibia, so it would be those posterior muscles. Okay,
Mhm.
great. So just those 4 muscles that we've got on the table, gastroc, soleus, plantaris, and tibialis posterior, what do they do? What's their job?
Plantar flexion of the ankle.
Plantar flexion.
Yeah,
Plantar flexion.
of the ankle, yeah.
So that means in plantar flexion, is the muscle contracted or lengthened?
Contracted.
Well, depends
And
on
in a jumping
what
jack,
muscle we're talking about.
Well, they all do the same action. So if the action of the muscle, this goes back to, we get to know the joint action, identify the muscle, and then know what the muscle's doing in that action, and then find out what went wrong in that action. Okay, so we've got 4 muscles on the table: gastroc, soleus, plantaris, and tibialis posterior. What did we say the action is?
Plantar flexion of the ankle.
Plantar flexion of the ankle. Do we all know what that looks like? What's that joint action?
dorsiflexion.
Like you're
Dorsey, here.
pointing.
Pointing.
Are you looking to pointing?
Yep.
No.
Plantar flexion.
Flexion, gotcha, not dorsiflexion.
What does plantar flexion look like?
Like a pointed toe.
Toes down.
High heels.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, we
Yep.
have a voice from the archives. Who's the
Oh.
voice am I hearing? I love it.
That's Teresa.
Hey,
how funny.
Teresa. Hi. Hey. I'm so glad.
From
Okay,
the
great.
void.
Yeah, I love it from the void. That's right. I love
So
that you call it
you
that, Lori.
also have you also have impact with jumping jacks.
Okay, so hold on. Yeah, exactly
Load.
right. So let's
Load. Yep.
first we want to know what the joint action is, what muscles do that joint action, so that we know what muscles to look at, and are they doing their job? Because if we're doing the job, if the muscles are doing the job they're supposed to do, and we're in alignment, meaning optimal form, there's no pain. So one of those 2 things went wrong. We either asked the muscle to do something he wasn't supposed to do, or we did it outside of form. That's always the truth,
Yeah.
right? We know that from our other masterclass from last year. Okay, so plantar flexion of the ankle. Are we doing plantar flexion of the ankle in jumping jacks?
No.
Mhm. Well, jumping would.
When they
I would think so.
land.
Yes.
Yes, because
think
when you're
so.
in the air, your
Pushing
feet go
off.
down.
Pushing
Depends
on.
on the phase of the jumping jack.
What's that, Teresa?
Depends on the phase of the jumping jack.
Right.
True.
Okay,
Pushing
at
off.
any point in a jumping jack, are we doing plantar flexion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which part?
Push
Pushing
off.
Push off.
from the extended position.
And
Yep.
when you're in the air.
And then when you go to land.
And then when you go to land.
So when you push off and then when you go to land.
Yeah, well, so we've identified it 3 different stages in a jumping jack: the push off, up in the air, and then impact down on the ground into the landing.
And he's already stated that he has a problem with his first metatarsal or tarsal, right?
It's actually second and third.
Second
Yeah,
and
it's actually
third.
second and third, not the
Second and
first
third.
one. Yep.
Oh, second
Well,
and
I
third.
thought turf toe was the first joint, but maybe it's the second, I guess. I don't know.
So yeah, so the turf toe was self-diagnosed, so we don't know if that's it. But he
Right.
pointed out that he has a discrepancy in the second, and he pointed out that he has a discrepancy in 2 toes. Lori identified that as being the second and third toe.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep. So to your point, it might not be turf toe. I don't know that diagnosis specifically, but if it's specific to the big toe, like a bunion would be, then we
Yeah.
know that it's definitely self-diagnosed. But something is awry
In
on the
toe.
second and third toe.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So his
both of
and landing will be compromised.
And why would his push off and landing be compromised? Why does the turf toe tell us that? In air quotes, turf toe. Why does the turf toe tell us that his push
Turf
off
toe
and landing
tells
would
us.
be compromised?
Because he's having pain in those joints, and so he's going to guard. And I would presume that his arch is at that age probably dropped a bit.
Okay,
he-
okay, awesome.
also- There's also load.
Right.
Okay, so hold
Right.
on. So yeah, 1 second. I wanna pour into you guys here. So what we don't want to do after we've taken the intake and gotten clarity is make up stuff.
Don't make shit up.
Don't make it up, because it'll help the squirreling and help
Yeah.
us not actually understand what we're dealing with, right? So question for clarity, Lori, did he say he has pain in his second and third toe? Or did he just say he has turf toe?
No, he didn't say that he had pain in his toes.
Okay, awesome. So Teresa, to the point about the second and third toe, there is something there for sure. I love that you pointed that out. It does change things. The pain, though, that's not there is not what's changing it. So
Right.
let's get clear then, what's actually functionally happening? What is the impact and the implication of air quoted turf toe in second and third toes for push off and landing? There is an implication there, but it's not pain related. What is it?
Function of the toes and the foot.
Function of the toes and the foot. Yeah, if we don't have use of them, we're not using them. And if we're not using them, we can get into pain. We just said that. It's part of our knowing. So what would the muscles then be that are associated with the air quoted turf toes, the self-diagnosed turf toes? What are the muscles associated, and are they any of the four we just addressed?
Plantaris,
And
for sure.
Muscles of the foot.
Rhonda, you're shaking your head. You got something?
So my
Rhonda, do you have? Go ahead.
I was just thinking it would be plantaris because that's behind the knee, not at the bottom of the foot.
Okay, where is its insertion though?
bottom of the foot.
The bottom of the foot. Where?
oh, there it is.
Where does
Oh.
plantaris insert?
Does it go all the way up to up the toes? Does it not? I need to go get my book.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you guys. Yeah, here's why it matters, guys. It doesn't matter in this
Better get my
exact
book out.
moment. In this exact moment, it doesn't necessarily matter as much as the why I'm asking it. If we've identified that there are muscles that are not part of the game, and we've identified that in the second and third toe, you pointed that out for us, Teresa. The client mentioned it to us, Lori. Thanks for letting us know. If we know that there's muscles that aren't playing, and we need the whole body part to do the job, then we get to know what muscles aren't playing and what's the implication of those muscles not playing. Especially when we
There's stressor on the other muscles to take over for the action.
It could be that. It could be that there's stress on the other muscles to take over. It could be that the structure can't keep its alignment because the muscles hold the bones in place and they're not doing that. Those two toes those bones aren't held in place. We can tell. The extensors are not doing the extending on those digits. The flexors are maybe overdoing it. We don't know yet. We haven't gotten there, but we know that there's an imbalance in the lever system on those two toes, which means if there's an imbalance in the lever system in those two toes, there's an imbalance in the structure of that foot. And that foot is where those muscles attach. We just said that. Oh, they all attach on the bottom of the foot. Yes, they do. Yes. And what's going on with the foot? It's
Compensation.
It's got a discrepancy in it. It's got a discrepancy in it. We know that because we can see it visually. Those two toes are not aligned in a resting phase. If they're not aligned in a resting phase, they're definitely not participating in a function phase. And we need function. So to get back to the second half of your question, Lori, why was it initiated at jumping jack 800? Because at that point, we're out of bandwidth.
Yeah.
Fatigue.
At that point, we're out of bandwidth. So somebody else with the same alignment in their toes may never have that calf problem.
Right.
Because they don't push it to the 800th jumping jack. They might just be walking and never have calf pain. Right? So it's still a functional issue, and it matters per person what they're doing with it, but we know that it's still a universal alignment and function problem. Always will be. Whenever there's musculoskeletal pain, it's those two things. Because if we are aligned the way the body is designed and we're using the muscles the way they're designed to be used, there's no pain. So we got to figure out, how is it designed and what went awry? meaning awry in the design, awry in the function, and then reverse engineer it back to how they're designed. That's the solution with every client. So I know that sounds super simple, like I've simplified it, but I want you to think about it. It's simple. You don't need to squirrel and get totally down the weeds and stress about it. Just get focused on what you know and don't make up more stuff, right? That's why thank you, Teresa, for letting us use that feedback as part of our learning. We don't want to make up that he said things that he didn't say. We don't want to assert pain on somebody if it's not there. Just go with what you know and let that knowing be plenty to solve it.
Okay.
So I have another question for Lori.
Awesome.
Lori, is he complaining of lateral knee pain? Like pain on the outer end or IT band discomfort?
Yeah, hold on. I got it.
Ah,
Hold on. Bear with me 1 second. Did I write anything about the knee? See, I'm questioning because it makes sense, and I didn't write down anything about the knee.
Might not have been there then.
Yeah.
Or he might not have mentioned it and you might not have asked. Here's one thought though about that. I recommend this to you guys because I'm present to the time and I'm like, how much of the story do I want to tell? When clients are in a lot of pain and they're feeling desperate or frustrated or resistant in any way, or if they've already identified you as a wealth of knowledge for them, if you have a pre-existing relationship with them and so they know they can ask you anything, in all of those scenarios, it's really recommended to not feed them lines to think. If they're going to tell you, they're going to tell you, but don't start feeding them information because they'll just agree with you because they think you have the answer, or they'll agree with you because they want desperately for you to get them out of pain. And they think if they agree that then you're onto something that can solve the problem for them. Literally just let their subconscious tell you what's there and ask for clarity on what they told you and let that lead to more information. But don't give them new information that they haven't mentioned to think about because it's like feeding them scenarios. And they'll be in like a logical brain space instead of an open space of sharing with you what's actually going on. Because they're basically the translator or the interpreter, I should say, for the body. They're sharing with you on the body's behalf with their words. We don't want to put information into their brain and take them out of their body and into their brain to share with you. We want them to just be open communication with their body and you're just listening and taking it all in. Wait till they're done and then ask questions of clarity about what they already said without inviting anything new. And I would say the same thing, about, well, my other client had blah, blah, blah. Don't give them a lateral viewpoint either. Let them just stay in what they've got going on. It just changes the quality of information you'll get from them because they're going to squirrel as much as you because they're desperate to get out of pain. That's why they're in your presence. Okay. All right, my loves, thank you for all of your valuable contribution to the conversation. Thank you, Lori, for bringing us this amazing case study that we got to learn about before we even started troubleshooting it. We all got to learn so much. So thank you for that. I welcome that from any of you at any time. If you do want to bring a case study, it would help me to set us up for success if you just let me know ahead of time. It's not mandatory. I mean, you could pull one out on the fly if you wanted to, but if you wanted to do a case study, like Lori gave me, a raised hand on this one about 2 weeks ago, and we just needed to get through atrophy before we could fully have all that information to answer the case study. My experience with answering case studies is that we find out we don't have enough anatomy to get to the case study yet. and it feels a little disheartening to sort of like stop the conversation. So just let me know it if you have one that you want to bring, so I can set us up to be able to solve that together. Okay, that's my only request. Otherwise, I'm here for all requests all the time. Thank you for letting me know what you guys want to talk about. I can't wait till next week. Have an amazing week doing amazing work. Thank you for the work you're doing on the planet. I'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you.